This is Phantom Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with Anna Brambilla for the first time. Welcome to the Phantom Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you doing? So excited to be here.
Well, I'm doing great. We love to talk to people. I've been talking to people in this way since 2016. We got over 1,700 live episodes we've done. So we like to
Incredible.
just talk to people all over the world. You help founders reclaim their zone of genius, and
Hmm.
you're the CEO of Virtually Aligned. We do have your LinkedIn below and your web page for your podcast. You're a podcaster as well. Right now, we have a QR link to Podmatch, and that's how we got together here. So we're kind
Exactly.
of promoting that. But we're going to swap that out in a couple minutes, and then that will actually link to your LinkedIn. So we will have the
Perfect.
QR code of your LinkedIn, and we'll tell people when they can scan that. Right now, it's just saying that you can scan it for Podmatch because we're doing a little bit of plug for them. But like you help founders escape founder bottlenecks and what you reclaim their zone of genius. You can kind of
Hmm.
define that. We'll talk about that. But you reclaimed like 10 to 15 hours a week of your own time. And then you were able to kind of figure out how to pay that forward with other people, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Just giving people a little bit of information. I'm a podcaster, I'm a musician, and I work as a software analyst in a startup. So I
Very
got
fun.
three hats. So I'm kind of familiar. We'll have a good discussion because I am familiar with what you're talking about. And when you're a musician, you're your own business as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And when you're in Starbucks, I mean, I live in the heart of Silicon Valley. When you're a startup, you wear so many hats.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you're a startup, like when you're a member of a startup, one day you might be a BA, next day you might be QA, next day you might be doing sales support. Well, like you ramp up to whatever they need. Uh,
Exactly.
you don't really look at the clock. You just do what you got to do.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
So yeah, so I think we'll be able to understand each other. But like, one question I ask anybody before we get to the heart of your interview of the interview is like, what motivates you and why do you do what you do?
I love that question. If you can see the heart ripple, the picture above my head with the heart shaped ripple effect, that's my whole philosophy in life. I believe in win-win-win solutions. I want to be that little drop that is sending out all kinds of incredible things out into the world. So one of the things that I love to do is to help people be in their zone of genius, right? And we can certainly talk about that. And my zone of genius is not doing admin. I imagine your zone of genius is not doing admin. You're creative, right? You don't want to sit there and do emails and calendar. And so let's find somebody for whom that is their zone of genius and who can do that and wants to do that. And then everybody's happy because you're doing the work that gives you happiness and fills your bucket, and the VAs are doing what they need to and want to do. And then our clients and our employees and our teammates are happier because we're happier. Does that make some sense?
Yeah, because like you got to do kind of what you're best at. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
musicians run into this all the time because
Yeah.
ever since Napster, we all try to run our own record companies,
Yep.
and the problem is like we're not good A&R, right? We're
Yep.
not actuaries, we're not
Yep.
accountants, and
Yep.
we're not like SEO experts, right? So if you try to do all that, then what suffers is, well, how am I supposed to book my shows? How
Right.
am I supposed to actually get a record done if
Yep.
I'm sitting there looking at spreadsheets? And I'm
Yeah.
not really that good at spreadsheets. If you know, well, I am actually, but most musicians
Right.
aren't.
Right. Right.
So yeah, there's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, there's a difference between the things that you're good at and the things that you want to do. Right? I started my career many years ago as a financial analyst. I can do the heck out of a spreadsheet because my MBA is in finance. You couldn't pay me enough to do that for more than about 2 seconds in a day because I'm good at it, but I don't want to. So
If you
that's
want to
outside
be in
my
their
zone of genius.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's the problem because a lot of times it's like, we live in a world where everybody's trying to get like they don't know how to get rid of noise.
Exactly.
In my
Yes.
opinion, like being a creative, one
Yeah.
of the geniuses about being a creative is like we're very observant
Yeah.
of our own subconscious in the outside world. If you talk to a
Yeah.
writer, a lot of
Yes.
time a writer could be sitting in a coffee shop and they're like picking up all the stuff, and it's
Yep.
going to be in their next three novels.
Yep, yep,
but but
exactly.
but they're also picking up stuff in their own subconscious, and they can synthesize it all.
Yeah,
But they're
yeah,
like, well, they're not the best promoter to get
right,
to the symposium to go and get the book signings. They need a manager. They need a booker.
right,
Like if they try to be
exactly.
that booker, they're probably gonna fail.
Right. Well, and my personal experience too, I completely agree with that. My personal experience was I was doing more and more of the stuff that I hated, was taking me out of why I started my business in the first place. I was miserable. It was taking away from time from my family and my friends and my personal life. And it was ruining it, you know? Instead, I found somebody who wanted to do the admin, who was good at doing the admin. I got to do the things that I loved to do and was great at, and the whole world is a better place, right? So,
Yeah, 'cause especially with AI now. I mean,
yeah.
because now, we have virtual assistants, we also have, you actually
Mhm.
have bots, and you
Mhm.
have the ability to have, like, these agents, which are like
Yeah.
modern AI bots,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
and actually do tasks and workflows, and, I can go into
Mhm.
all of that. But there's no reason with all this between giving it to a person,
Yeah.
what you have is, like, what do you have these people that are, fractional,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
assistants, like your fractional HR, fractional
Right.
CFO, fractional
Right.
actuaries. You can go and get them to do whatever, or you could get the agent to do that.
Yep.
AI
Yep.
agent to do the same thing. But yeah, there's still a human element though. I mean, that's the kind of argument today. Cause I was running into, some limitations. Like everybody's saying
Mhm.
blue sky.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
the AI can
Mhm.
do everything. You come to find out, well, if you have it auto generate your code, your
Yeah.
Amazon store might fail.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
maybe it's not fully ready for prime time to fully get rid of everybody's job.
Well, and I completely agree, and I hear that all the time, right? Oh, VAs, they're going the way of the dinosaur because everybody's going to use AI. Well, two things. I the AI the VAs that I help place and help people, founders and entrepreneurs find for their own businesses are not the task taking, if then that, the basic those VAs who are used to doing routine things over and over and over again are going to be replaced by AI. And it's
Mhm.
happening already. We're seeing already, some of those competitors, technically competitors, there's not really, but some of those VA companies are going out of business because AI can take over the routine
Yeah, it's an
automated
unhappy path.
tasks.
The unhappy path you can't do.
Exactly, exactly. Whereas with my team, we specialize in the higher level, the um, more advanced people who use have a brain and use it and really take what AI does. And to your point, if you just use AI to generate your code, good luck to you. We'll see, you're never going to go far. It can help create the foundation, but
Yeah, but you
you
need to
and your
know what that code does. I mean, it's kind of like
exactly.
I'm a child of the '70s, no COBOL up to what we do today.
Yep.
And
Wow.
a lot of
Yeah.
the kids today, like, they don't know COBOL. So,
Right.
like, if you try to go and have AI figure out the COBOL, it's gonna mess it up, right?
Yep.
Because it doesn't
100%.
understand a lot of the intricacies of that system. They don't even teach it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a whole generation of guys like me, we
Yeah.
still get pulled when a bank or insurance company has that stuff. And so, like, oh, the AI agent can do it. Like, no, it won't, because it
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
misinterpret
Mhm.
Y2K level stuff. It'll
Yep.
misinterpret, social
Yep.
security system has a code and you think somebody's 150 years old. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
you just don't understand what we did, right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly the same
and we
thing.
did all
Mhm.
these little weird exceptions,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they're not logical.
Yeah.
If you
Yes.
don't understand that, like, well, then you're gonna try to make something logical that's not.
Exactly. Exactly. So true. So true.
But yeah, I think it's interesting because I think like when you're first an entrepreneur, you're probably trying to do everything
Mhm.
yourself, maybe
Mhm.
your LLC level, and then you
Yep.
start realizing you got to hire other people, you got to bring other minds in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then once you
Yeah.
start getting past 10 people,
Yeah.
and then exponentially goes to 100, goes to 1,000, whatever. Then you start
Exactly.
realizing, like, oh, I don't know HR. I don't know
Yeah.
actuarial. I don't know billing. I don't know this. It's like, so then do you want to try to top down micromanage?
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
give up some control to actually really be, like you said, in your zone of genius.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you hit the it's exactly it, is and that's the people that I work with, those founders who are the bottleneck, who have until now done everything. And that's great. And when you're first starting out, terrific. You need to do everything, unless you've got a lot of cash lying around, in which case, great, good for you. But you very quickly need to find out what it is, A, that you're good at, like we were talking about before, but B, what do you want to do?
Yeah,
And
passion,
focus on
passion.
those things. What are you passionate about, right? I love being on podcasts. I love talking. I love going to networking events. I love going to conferences. That's my passion, and that's where I excel. I hate doing email. I hate doing, all of the admin stuff. If you had to put my executive assistant in front of a networking group, I dare say she would shrink. She's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do," because that's not her zone of genius.
Yeah.
And that's why, see, that's why I love about what I do is it creating win-win-win solutions. Everybody, if you're in your zone of genius, you're happier and the world is a better place.
It's kind of like the idea of you basically are gonna find your path, right? Like it's the
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if you're a creative believer, right? You put your thing out in the world and you find your tribe. It's a
yeah,
law of
yeah,
attraction type of idea. And people, oh, that's woo woo, but it
yep.
really
I'm
is.
in California. I'm very woo, so there you go.
But it kind of is because like if you are a creative person, right,
Hmm.
and you put something out in the world, then people who are in the same frequency, they
Yep.
find it, and then you
Yeah.
end up having conversations, then those lead to opportunities. It's not
Yeah.
always logical, right?
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
it's like you don't know who's gonna gravitate to it unless you put it out in the ether.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once you
Exactly.
put it out in the ether, and suddenly somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I like what you're doing, let's work together," and you never even had that in your plan.
Yeah. That
And
happens so much. Yep.
and it's not about getting 1,000,000 views.
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
you post something on in the ether
Yep.
and you don't get 1,000,000 views, but you get that other founder that says, "Hey, maybe we could get together,"
Yep.
that's not gonna register in the world of the net in terms of, "Oh,
Right.
I got 1,000,000 likes, I got 1,000,000,000 views." But that is actually more productive than if you got the people that needed to get it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That gives you the opportunity, and it doesn't matter if you got the 1,000 likes and when half of them are bots anyway.
Exactly. Oh, that's the other thing too. I mean, I was just at a conference recently listening to somebody, and she was saying, which I think makes total sense. In this day and age of AI, there is a trust deficit and there's an authenticity deficit. And people want to know that they're dealing with a real person who's authentic in what they do. I'm not a bot. I'm not an AI bot. If I were, I'd look a little bit different. I dare say you're handsome the way you are, but I dare say you're not an AI bot either. And because of that, we're having a real conversation, two human beings having a real conversation. And anybody who's listening or will listen will get a sense that we're two authentic people having a good conversation. And they're going to resonate with both of us. At least I hope so.
Well, that's the whole idea of vulnerability. I mean, that's why the
Yeah.
singer-songwriter back in the late '60s and '70s got the big, like, people really keyed in on it
Yeah.
because they were willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. That's a
weren't
good
just
point.
trying to be like Tin Pan Alley and just write the hit, right?
Right, right,
Carole King and all those great writers, Neil Diamond, they were writing all these hits for other people.
right.
But when
Yeah,
Bob Dylan wrote it for himself or Joni Mitchell wrote it for themselves,
yeah,
they
yeah,
relayed vulnerabilities that people are like, "Wow, I feel
yeah,
like that." Like any
yeah.
writer, right?
Mhm,
When you
mhm.
reveal something of yourself and you show that vulnerability,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
actors on stage, they show that vulnerability, then
yeah.
people know it's not like an infomercial, it's not, like, fake.
Right,
Problem with
right.
the net right now, it's so overproduced.
Oh my god, it drives me nuts.
The
Yeah,
people are, like, trying to pull the ums out.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
had people come to me and say, "Well, pay me to pull the ums out.
yeah,
Pay me to pull the pauses out." I'm like, "I do long form podcasts because I want somebody to actually have a conversation and tell a story.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
looking for just the soundbite. I might create a reel to get
Mhm.
you to come into my link tree
Yeah,
and watch the whole episode, but I'm not about just making sound bites.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I agree. Well, and I think nowadays we are so sick of sound bites, and we're so sick of snippets. People love hearing stories, and if you can tell it in a compelling way. Now, that being said, I don't encourage people to put half-hour long videos out there
Yeah.
unless it's really in depth. Because if I'm scrolling through and I see something's a half an hour, I'll be like, okay, I'll come back to that, and then I never do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, we have to kinda know, like, how to promote, like, we create the
Yeah.
reel. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll create a reel that's 30 seconds to 90 seconds
Yeah.
to push my episodes, and then people who
Exactly.
get drawn into it might watch the full episode to wherever they wanna go. Um,
Exactly.
but it's the idea is, like, I do provide, like, the longer form conversations, and people who have become used to what we've been doing since 2017, since 16, they come here because they know it's a safe place for people to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Exactly.
like, when you create that space, and that's the whole vibe of what you're trying to do versus trying to be at the top of the algorithm.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think a lot of people are like, "Yeah, yeah, you're at the top of the algorithm, but what kind of conversion rate are you getting?"
That's a good point. And it's so ephemeral, right? What's gonna work today is not gonna work tomorrow, and yet you're still doing what worked today, and then you're wondering why you're not at the top of the algorithm tomorrow.
Yeah, because conversion rate's the real bottom line to me. Like,
Yeah.
who actually
Yeah.
went and bought it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The view versus who bought it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, so what are you when you got your business, like, if you wanna get passionate about, like, "Hey, I got this brilliant idea,
Mhm.
right? And I wanna execute, and I need to get a group of people to help me execute it." And
Yep.
so that's when you start to realize is, like, I can't do it all by myself,
Right. Right.
because if somebody's gotta do that spreadsheet, and I hate it, and somebody's gotta do the email, and I hate it, you know?
Yep.
So that's where you start to really, like, like, do you have a process of, like, trying to get people to identify and realize they've got to let go?
I do, and it's probably the hardest thing. That's probably the biggest. Well, there's 2 questions that I hear most or objections that I hear most often are, I don't even know what to delegate, and I even if I knew what to delegate, I don't know how to delegate. And that's where my company, I think, really excels. I mean, we have other things that we do incredibly well too. We're wonderful matchmakers in helping you or our clients find the right person. But it's all around delegation, especially as the founder. You've grown that company, presumably from scratch. It's your baby. You know how to do everything. Excuse me. And so it's hard to then get out and hand
Mhm.
some of that stuff over. But that's where we really do a lot of work, and we have some great projects and products to help you do that, to learn how to delegate. And we always say start small. There's no reason to hand over your entire book of business and your entire stuff to somebody else. Start small.
Yeah.
Find that 1 or 2 things that you absolutely hate to do, and then, we can help you from there.
It's kind of like bite-sized chunks. It's like,
Exactly.
do you go
Yeah.
from 0 to 100? Do you have little wins?
Exactly. Exactly.
'Cause
Yep.
I worked in Japan from 2004 to 2006,
Oh, nice.
and I was working for an American insurance company. They sent me there to the Japanese implementation of their brand.
Oh, fun.
And so I got there, and then the problem is we'd have these, our US business team and then the
Mhm.
Japanese business team.
Yep.
And I was living there for 2 years, so I got to be more culturally aware.
Good.
Then the US team didn't understand some social mores and
Right.
some of the concepts in Japan, like, there's, like, 0 defect mindset, or
Mhm. Mhm.
and so they
Mhm.
will look at every problem on a bug board, give it the
Yeah.
same priority.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and then the US team will say, "Well, that's not really important to me." The
Right.
Japanese team says, "Yes, it is."
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
would just argue that all week.
Yep. Yep.
And it's like, the difference in Japan is if you make a mistake on a statement to the client, they'll book a auditorium and then apologize to the customer, right? An American guy would say, "Well, that's the cost of doing business."
Oh, yeah, just yeah. Yep, exactly, exactly. I lived in Italy. I've lived in France, but I've lived in Italy as well, and I married a man from Italy. And we were talking shortly after he arrived, and there was a mistake that was made. And he was coming up with all of these excuses that he was going to tell his client about, well, it was this excuse and that excuse and this other excuse. I said, Americans don't want to hear that. Sorry, we made a mistake. This is how we're going to fix that. And so that was very hard for him at first. And then he got used to it. And then he had to train all of his Italian colleagues when they came over and they're like, oh, all these excuses why it's not our fault. And it's those culturals are
Yeah,
so
the culture.
fascinating.
Yeah, it's super important, and sometimes people
Yeah.
think it's like, "Well, my this culture overrides this other culture," like, wait until you look at the sales then,
Right.
because
Right.
you don't
Exactly.
you don't you don't
Exactly.
get it, right?
Right.
But it's interesting because I think, like, there's an example where you're talking about, like, everything feels important. It's kinda like that QA board,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
where you
That's a
go and
great
say
point.
everything's the high. Well, if
Yep.
everything's high, then what's the point in having the severity list?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And then I have no idea what you want me to prioritize because 'cause you're saying
Right.
everything's high, so what does that give me?
Right, right, exactly. And then you get paralyzed. It's like, "Oh, screw it. I'm just gonna go home and, read a book."
Yeah, because like, you gotta point out, like, at some point, you have to figure out, like, what's the priority? What's a 5? What's a 1?
Yeah,
What's a
yeah,
10?
so
What's
true.
a 1? Like,
Yeah,
does everybody understand what that means?
yeah, yeah,
Right? So then
exactly.
you have to really do you even understand the role you're trying to give somebody?
Right. Well, you brought up a good point. So a 1 to your mind might be, "Oh, this is number 1 priority. This is something I absolutely have to do." And to somebody else, that's a level 1, which is the lowest, right?
Yeah,
And the 10 is the highest. And so you even have to get calibrated on what do the numbers mean? So you're absolutely right.
and people make assumptions. They walk into a room and, like, if you got a team in Mumbai and you got some guys in Dublin, and you
Yeah.
got some guys in that are sitting in, like, Germany,
Yeah.
and then some
Yeah.
guys in Tennessee,
Yeah.
and you say something, what you say, how they hear that,
Yeah.
is very different. I'm a liberal arts major, so I was, like, really into language
Uh-huh.
and,
Yep.
writing things and understanding, like, the impact of your words,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And sometimes people in the STEM, they
Yep.
don't think that way. They's like,
They
"Oh, is
don't
this
think that
makes
way.
it." Oh,
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that doesn't mean anything." It's like, "Well, I read poetry, I love philosophy, Camus, Sartre." Like, I
Yeah.
really think about it.
Yep.
You
Yep.
don't think about it, but then you make
Yep.
assumptions, and those assumptions are kinda burning you.
Yeah. And then when you deal with that, you also have, international and you have languages, right?
Yeah.
What's called false friends. So in Italian, so we say eventually, I'm eventually going to do such and such, right? In Italian, eventualmente, which is what it like, translates to, has a completely different meaning. It means
Mhm.
maybe, perhaps. So, if you're going to a customer and the customer says, I want to implement this feature, an American says eventually we'll do that. It's going to happen. It's not, you don't have a timeline, but it's going to happen. An Italian says eventualmente. The American thinks, okay, it's going to happen. The Italian's like, well, maybe we'll get to it, maybe we won't, and
Wow,
you
yeah.
got that
It
whole thing
Yeah, and
too.
then you're like, cross communicate. You're totally, like, not in the
Exactly.
same room. Like, and one of the things in Japan we got to understand is because the Japanese language is, like, very symbolic. Like, you look at it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's like characters.
Right, right.
It's
It's
not like
pictures.
20
Yeah.
it's not 25 characters, it's like over 10,000 Chinese characters plus like 80 specific Japanese characters,
Oh my
and
goodness.
they can mean a lot from a
Yeah.
from a symbol can actually have a lot of meaning. So when you get a
Yeah.
Japanese document, it has less verbiage, but it has a lot of meaning,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
don't know what it means, right? So what we
Yeah.
tended to do is we did a lot of visualizations of flow charts and workflows to get
Yep.
on the logic point, and that
Yep.
was everybody could get to the logic point. But
Yep.
if you gave them a Word doc in Japanese and a Word doc in English, they were arguing all week. It's like, what did that mean?
Yep.
If you
Yep.
did an
Exactly.
activity diagram with a use case, they could figure out what you were doing.
Right.
And it was a
Right.
communication tool because I was a liberal arts major. I said, well, how do we figure out that communication?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where, the STEM versus that is like you got to come up with things that are kind of like critical thinking, like what's the problem?
Yeah, yeah,
And let's
exactly.
figure out different options to solve the problem, but not make the assumption that we know the answer.
Yes, yes. That's the other thing we get into the habit of, well, I'm an expert in X and so I know best. Not necessarily. That you can still be wrong even if you're an expert.
And it's really like the executive delegation, they you can accelerate your growth if you're not like like so hung up on owning
Yeah.
everything, right?
Yeah. Let me give you an example, a recent example in my own team, if I might. So we've decided we needed to hire an expert in a particular field. We don't know anything about it. So I, as the founder, said, "Oh, we need this." So I could have gone out there and searched the web and found a bunch of people that I wanted to interview and set up the interviews and then ultimately choose the right person. Instead, what I did is I asked my executive assistant, her name is Belle, shout out to Belle, and I said, "Hey, Belle, can you, go research? Here's some resources of places I want you to look for this specific resource." And then what she did was she came up with a wonderful list with the name, the website, the phone number, email address, brief description. She handed it then to my fractional COO, who is going to be leading the search for that. He looked at that, chose the top 3 people that he wants us to interview, gave it back to Belle, and Belle is scheduling interviews for us right now. And should we choose somebody? And I was off having a podcast. I was attending a
Yeah,
networking event. I
frees
was
you
off
up.
whatever. Yes.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, thank God. And all I had to do is, hey, can you do this for me? And it was done. And that's, the next thing I know is like, okay, I'll know it's done when I see that person on my calendar. And I said, oh, okay, we're going to meet on such and such a time. It's so fascinating.
is it really like the trust level? Like, if you're a founder and you only had like two people, 3 people on your team,
Mhm.
and then you've got to expand, it's like you don't know those new people.
Yep.
So is
Yep.
that
It takes
trust
time.
thing is that
Mhm.
the initial trust, like time space to gain that trust so that you can let go? Is that
That's
the
why I
big
say
pro?
start small. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. But that's why I say start small. It doesn't have to be, let me hand you over my entire business and you run it while I go sit on a beach and I've just met you. Start small. Get the small things done, right? And have that conversation. Give them a small task. See how they do it. See if they take initiative too. I mean, we do that with our clients all the time. They say, you know what, I want to test them out. And so we'll say, great, give us a small project. This is often around, SEO or graphics or something like that. Do they take that project? Great. And then do they go on to the next? And do they think ahead and think 2 steps ahead, or like, okay, here's your thing exactly as you asked for without any kind of input or thoughts.
but it kind of goes toward this idea of like tactical thinking and
Yeah.
strategic thinking.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah,
you're the doer, you're
yeah,
probably on the tactical level.
yep.
But if you're gonna win the war, not that we want to get into war, like you gotta
Ooh.
have long-term strategy.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
tactically you could win every battle and lose the war.
Very true, very true, very true. And as a founder, I only work with purpose-driven entrepreneurs. So the people that my clients all have a reason they got into their business, because that's crucial. They have to have, "I'm here to make a bigger difference in the world." If they want to make a lot of money, that's great. I like making money. I'm not going to say no to more money, but I have a purpose for my business and why I got into where I got into this business. And that's what I look for. And so when I work with clients, I want them to have a purpose, why they're doing, so that they can go back to that. By the time they get to me, they're like, I know I need a VA. I know I need an EA. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to delegate. That's when I come in and say, okay, first of all, we'll find you somebody, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back to your reason for starting your business because that's so crucial.
So you need them to kind of tell the story of what their passion project is, and then when they
Yeah.
do that, it will
Yep.
start to reveal
Yeah.
where their focuses are, right? And then if
Exactly.
you listen to somebody tell the story, you can immediately start to discern, okay, this is this person's objective.
Right.
This is actually what they're trying to do or want to do.
Yep.
And so then like you can probably discern and start to like analyze on a case by case basis
Right.
what they actually want. And I think
Right.
that probably a lot of times people want like they want a one size fits all.
Yes.
Would you say
Yes.
that when you go like you have some probably common situations you've seen,
Yep.
but you still kind of have to case by case listen to what that founder says, right?
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah, I mean, there are a million EAs out there. There's a million VAs out there. There are lots of them out there. And we've got to, so quick aside, we're not an agency where you buy a number of hours and then your
Mhm,
VA works for those hours and you pay the agency a huge amount of money. Instead, we do direct placement. So we work with you to find out who you are, what's going to be the best fit for you, and then match make that person. So one of the things we look for is not only skill sets, because you can have 10 people who have pretty much exactly the same experience and the same skill sets, and any one of them can do the job. But what we excel at is making that match. So who
mhm,
are you as a person? What drives you? What are the things that you are good at? And what are those things you don't want to do? And let's find your complement. Let's not
mhm.
find your copy. Let's find your complement. And that's so huge.
Yeah, 'cause you're actually trying to customize it to fit
Exactly.
rather than trying to put a square peg in a round hole or
Exactly.
just saying everybody's like a widget. Everybody's just to
Exactly.
work on the Henry Ford assembly line, and it
Yes,
doesn't matter who it
exactly.
is. Where
Right.
in modern assembly lines,
Yep.
like, it's not doing just the Model T. It
Yeah.
might be doing
Yeah.
10 models on that one
Exactly.
line, and so you
Exactly.
need people who are actually gonna be not just an automaton,
Right.
but actually interacting and passionate about what they do.
Right. Very true. Very true. Well, it's like Henry Ford used to say, right? Anybody can have any color they wanted as long as it's
Wow.
black.
Yeah.
Well, that's the past, right?
Yeah.
I want purple. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, 'cause
I
now you
want
can get, like, a company to give you a very customized model. That's, like,
exactly.
the new thing when
Exactly.
you look at, like, what's going on with China BYD and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
they have created very unique customizations. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm a mountain biker,
Oh, fun. So
and
is my husband. Yeah.
mountain bikes, you can get the base model, but nobody gets the base model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody the way the big thing in mountain biking is the companies allow you to customize that bike, so no bike is the same.
Yeah. Isn't that
Every
fascinating?
component is different, and
Yeah.
it's up to the customer to actually pick what they want,
Yep.
and so nobody's bike is standard at all,
Right.
and
Right.
that's kinda where, cars are gonna get are starting to try to get to that level, but I
Yep.
think that's what people want.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
don't wanna pick up that Model T,
Right. Right.
and
They want
same
that
thing
customization. Yeah.
same thing with services, right? They don't want the cookie cutter.
Yeah.
They want something that's gonna fit their what they do,
Right.
right?
I when I was in grad school, we're talking mid 90s, so it's been a while, but I had a wonderful professor who unfortunately has since passed, and he was talking 30 years ago about mass customization. And that's what Starbucks is. That's the perfect
Yeah,
example of mass
they're like mountain
customization. You're like,
bikes.
I want, yeah, exactly. It's the mountain bike. It's the, okay, I want my decaf, half calf, whatever it is. We
Yeah,
all have our customized
and
Starbucks
how
order.
many permutations can you have?
Exactly.
And that's kinda
Exactly.
like maybe in the past is like, "No, you can't have that, just black coffee, that's it." Like
Yep, exactly.
you go to a
Maybe
diner,
they'll give you room for cream, that's
yeah,
about it,
cream
yeah.
egg, but no, now you got like what, how many variations?
Yep, exactly.
And that's where people are like, "Well, wow, you can have so," even pharmaceutical companies are coming up with it. We could
Yeah,
create biologically customized medicine. It's not the same
yeah,
medicine for anybody.
yeah,
Your medicine
yeah,
is actually tailored to your DNA, to your
yeah.
genetic
Isn't that
code,
fascinating?
and that's where it's going.
Yeah, isn't
And
that
I think
fascinating?
everything's going that way.
Yes, it is, it is. It's fascinating how things mass customization again.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because then what you're saying is like, then you have to listen.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people, now I'm a sociology major, but the idea is like people have a filter.
Mhm,
And when they
mhm,
hear something, they go to their filter and then whatever they heard, it's a good
mhm.
idea sometimes to repeat back.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think I said?
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
Because like we used to do a class like in criminology,
Mm.
and we'd actually have a mock crime done.
Oh,
And then we'd have
fascinating.
people say, "What did you see in the classroom?"
Yep,
Everybody
yep,
would write down what they thought they saw,
yep.
right? And who's the perpetrator, who's the victim?
Right,
What did they
exactly.
do? What did they say? And then we taped it.
Uh-huh.
And then you go back and see what people said they saw, what they
Mhm.
heard,
Yeah.
and then what it actually occurred
That's
is
so funny.
wildly wild. And this is like, wow.
Yeah.
So that's
That is
why the
so
criminal
funny.
system has a problem.
Yes, exactly, exactly, and people have, "Oh, I've got great memory," and they become convinced that whatever they're saying is what happened. They're convinced of that, right?
Yeah,
But
but it's
doesn't
your
always happen.
filter because everybody has a filter, and as soon as they hit a
Mhm.
trigger,
Right.
their mind just goes and says, "That's what it means."
Yep, yep,
But and so
exactly.
then when you're doing requirements or you're gathering information from the client, it's good to have, like, checkpoints
Yeah,
to kinda really understand what are they actually asking for rather than you trying to put it in the bucket
right,
of, like,
right,
what you provide.
right,
'Cause a lot of
right,
times places will try to just like, "Well, I'll just give them my standard product,"
right. Nope, you
and
can't
try to
do that.
fit them into the standard product, even
Yeah.
if it really doesn't fit.
Yep, it's so true. It's so true, and I think companies are losing sight of that, and, frankly, to their detriment, and, one of the things, I see that for VA companies, and certain people are like, "Well, you say you need somebody, so I'm just gonna give you whoever's next," right? This whoever's next in line, and I've had that happen. I'm like, "No, I don't want that person." This is back in the day when I was trying to find my own VA. "I don't
Mhm.
want that person. I need somebody who's got this little" "Nope, that's who's next, and good
Yeah,
luck
they
to
just
you,"
want they're just on that kinda assembly line, the Model T thing.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and that's how people still wanna operate in a world where the customization's a reality,
Yeah.
and some people say, "Well, that's just Starbucks,"
Yeah, yeah,
and they don't
exactly.
realize that maybe your model should actually follow that, but they say, "Well, that's
Yes.
coffee," right?
Ah, too much.
Just
Yeah.
because it's coffee doesn't mean it doesn't relate to you.
Well, tell me how many billions of dollars every year Starbucks is making. I think they're doing something right.
Yeah, that's where, like, cross-pollination, like, as a musician,
Yeah.
like, we look at, like, genres,
Yep.
and you get, like, a blues guy who just wanna stay in his lane,
Mhm.
but then, like, maybe a
Yeah.
progressive rock guy, well, they might have a little classical, they might have a little
Yeah.
bebop, they might have a little
Yeah.
psychedelic, they're all over the place,
Right.
and they're
Right.
not staying in a lane, they're kinda cross-pollinating.
Right.
What I
Exactly.
find out in business is, like, when you cross-pollinate things and you experiment,
Mhm.
then you find, that was an unintended happy accident.
Yep. Yep. So true.
And the happy accidents tend to be the thing that really drives what you're doing. Not that you don't have a plan,
Right.
but you
Right.
should allow happy accidents to flourish
Yeah.
and be part of your, like, experimentation.
Well, I mean, we've all heard that Thomas Edison quote, right? "I didn't fail. I just learned 1,000 ways that
Do
not to
something.
do things."
Yeah, to do
Yeah.
things. Yeah, well, that's, in science and inventing and engineering,
Yeah.
we have our core concepts, and then we try to break things.
Yes. Yes.
And when we
Exactly.
break things, we find new things.
Right.
And so
Right.
that iterative kinda agile development
Yeah.
mindset rather than the waterfall.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
everybody wants to run the waterfall, and then some people say that they're doing agile and they're still doing waterfall.
Yep. Yep.
And so,
You're
hey,
you're above my pay grade with some of that stuff. I know the terms, but I don't know but
yeah,
yes, I know what you're saying.
yeah, it's like the 100-page document versus the waterfall is like a very you have to know everything you're gonna do.
Right. Right.
Agile is iterative,
Right. Which
which
is the way
means
it
that if you
should
don't
be.
know
Yeah.
something today, you could learn it tomorrow, and you could kind of proof of concept and keep on making version 1, 2, 3, point 5, point 6, point 7.
Exactly. And that's what a founder does, right? In any business, if you go in there and say, okay, I'm going to do A and then I'm going to do B and then I'm going to do C, good luck to you because you might do A, it doesn't work, but you're like, oh, wait, no, but B is next. So I've got to do B. If you're going to do that, you're not going to be around very long in business. You've got to say, okay, let's do A. Maybe that worked, maybe that didn't. In marketing, they're always talking about A/B testing, right?
Yeah.
Sending two very similar or even very dissimilar messages, and one is clearly going to be better than the other. And how do using other things that are static that are saying the same. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, and I was talking to a film director, and, like, if you talk to film directors, like, when they do a movie,
Yeah.
they don't go sequentially. Sometimes
Yeah.
they
Oh,
film
interesting.
the end,
Yeah.
and then the middle, then the almost the end, and they're all over the map, kinda
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
their plan based on how much what their expenses are,
Yeah.
who's available at the time, and so
Yeah. Yeah.
everything's kinda out of order,
Yeah.
and then they throw it up on a big board, and they kinda move the storyboard around.
Yeah.
and make adjustments in real time. It's like, oh, maybe that's actually better than the plan, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
they'll have the guy who wrote the script and it's like, well, the actor did this. This is what you wrote.
Right.
Maybe we go with what the actor said.
Yeah. Oh, how many times have, you heard the bloopers that go
Gotcha.
into the film or the TV show or whatever because the director's like, "Oh, wait, that is better."
Yeah, Robert Williams was famous for just blowing the script and doing his own thing.
Yes, exactly, exactly. He was hilarious. Oh,
But
may he rest in peace.
yeah, but that's what happens. Like you be the director, you could say, well, no, Robin, you're going to do exactly what the guy wrote.
Right, right.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the opposite of that was The West Wing and Aaron Sorkin, and he was, "You say it exactly as
yeah, he
written."
wanted it that way.
He wanted it that way. So you knew as an actor what you were doing, right? He would never hire Robin Williams, presumably, to be on The West Wing. I mean, that'd been kind of funny, but it wouldn't have worked, and so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta
But if you have a very specific, it depends on your style. Like
yeah, yeah,
some people are like, you get a guy that's like, this is my script.
yeah,
Like
yep,
I'm a writer, director, producer,
yep,
right? So
yep,
I wrote it.
exactly.
So they have a very defined vision, kind of like if you got
Yeah,
a Prince,
yeah, yeah,
right? Or like a David Bowie.
right,
And
right.
Bowie would walk in with Queen and tell the drummer what to do. And then the drummer told him once, I'm the drummer, David. Like, you're not the singer, right? You're the
Right,
singer, you're not a drummer. But
yeah,
David said, "Well, I know what I want, though."
yeah, yeah,
So he would
yeah,
tell him, "It's like, I know you're the drummer, but I want you to go like this."
yeah, yep.
And so, sometimes like, "Oh, I guess he's telling me what to do." But that happens, like, the more you know what you want, the
Yeah,
less you're willing to let it go,
yeah.
and that kinda goes to this dynamic. Does that cause trouble with what you're trying to do?
Well, okay, so David Bowie is a perfect example, right? Or any of those people. Prince is a perfect example. It's like, okay, I want you to do it exactly this way. And he'll find drummers who can do it exactly that way, and it matches Prince's or David Bowie's or whoever's vision of that. And that's fine. But at what cost? Could David Bowie or Prince or whoever, instead of making sure micromanaging the drummer to do exactly what they want, could they have taken that time and that energy and created their next masterpiece?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not, and that's always the question.
Yeah, 'cause how much time are you taking to do that? Because that's where you're saying it frees up, like you're talking about the 10 to 15 hours.
Right.
And what percentage of time do you free yourself up? Because you're the bottleneck. 'Kay, that
Yeah.
ends up being the
Yeah.
problem. Like,
Yeah.
the founder becomes the bottleneck for the whole enterprise,
Yep.
right?
So true. So true.
And if you wanna expand, at some point, you're the choke point, right?
Yep.
So how the heck are you ever gonna expand if you don't get out of being the choke point?
Exactly. Well, that's where a lot of people get to the point where they're like, I can't grow unless I suddenly, work 20 hours more or 40 hours more a week. At what cost? Some people are workaholics and they love it and that's great and good for them. But even then they're going to get the point where they can't grow
Yeah,
past a
yeah,
certain point because it's all through them. Instead, if you empower your team and allow them to do the things that they're good at and want to do, then you can go and you have that time back. I mean, my son, when I first hired my first VA, I guess he must have been about 9 or 10. I wanted to be with him. I wanted to hang out with him. I wanted to go on field trips while he still wanted me to, and that was fun.
yeah.
I couldn't do that if I was at the office.
Yeah, that's when you start to value, like, what is your peace of mind versus,
Mhm.
like, your
Mhm.
success level, and, like,
Yeah.
this is where people have to make a like, that balance or work-life balance decision,
Yeah. Yeah.
because, like, there's this mindset, in the startup community in Silicon Valley and kinda in
Yeah.
AI kinda ideas, like, "Well, you work 160 hours," like,
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
badge of honor, like, you
Yeah.
work the
It's so
whole week,
silly.
right? To me, it's like diminishing returns. So you think about, like, a programmer, I
Very
go
much
back to
so.
being a COBOL programmer.
Yeah.
If you back in 78, 82, 83,
Yeah.
you just sit in that cube for 8 hours straight saying, "I'm a badge of honor, I'm not even getting up. I'm just
Yep.
gonna sit in there and do it." Like,
Yep.
your code's full of bugs.
Yeah.
So your badge
Yeah.
of honor was that you sat there straight while Johnny was getting up and kinda walking around, going to the coffee, whatever, but his code
Yep.
has less defects
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
didn't stress himself out.
Exactly.
and he
Exactly.
actually gave himself time to come back and look at it
Yep.
and not be so in the weeds. So
Yep.
just because somebody sits at their desk and the boss is, "Oh, he must be a great worker because he sat there 8 hours straight," that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that they actually did a good job.
Right. Well, I don't know about you, but some of my best ideas come from the shower when or I'm doing the dishes or I'm going for a walk. I happen to love water aerobics. I have great ideas when I'm doing my water aerobics, right? I'm listening to the
Take a walk
teacher.
in the
I'm doing
woods. I mean, I live in New Hampshire.
right,
So
right,
if I go and work, like, I got a stand-up desk and that goes up and down, and I do,
right,
like, 2 hours straight, and then I go and take a walk.
right,
Got
right.
my paddler with me, but I take a walk in the pines near the Merrimack
Yeah.
River, and
Gorgeous.
that
Yeah.
clears my mind,
Yep.
and it actually makes me think about something. They say, "Oh, I should have asked that question. I find
Hmm.
that compared to when I was, like, 24 and I thought I should just sit in that cube,
Yeah.
I'm way more efficient, I'm way faster, and I have a lot more peace of mind, and my
Yeah.
family likes me a lot better."
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, and I think we're seeing that bosses, hopefully, not all of them, are getting away with from that. I have to see you in your chair from 9 to 5, and or I used to hear stories of bosses that would purposely wait until 6 o'clock and then walk around the office and see who was still sitting in their chair, or drive, go into the parking lot and see whose cars
Car
were in
still
the
there,
parking.
yeah.
And that's just the most ridiculous thing. Maybe you have somebody who's brilliant, who can do everything in 2 hours.
Yeah, 'cause
Wouldn't you rather have
neurodivergence.
them
Yeah, I mean, 'cause if you
exactly.
think about there's a lot of people in all kinds of industry that are neurodivergent.
Yes, exactly.
Neurodivergent person is not gonna be able to just sit there straight, right?
Nope,
A lot of
nope.
times they're gonna have to get up, they're gonna have to do this, and if you just measure them by,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I gotta see how many keystrokes they're doing." Like, I
Ugh.
gotta use my camera and check to see if they're at their desk.
Yep,
I would
exactly.
guarantee you that that person probably produces better work and
Yep.
maybe isn't at their desk as much as you want them to be.
Right,
But
right.
is that the real measure of your success, your enterprise success? Like, how
Exactly.
many hours somebody's sitting on the chair in their chair.
Plus exactly. Plus that person who is neurodivergent, and I live in Silicon Valley, so everybody's either neurodivergent or has ADHD or is
Yeah,
on the spectrum, something like that. I mean, that's just part of Silicon Valley. That's the way it works. But that person, if you allow them to do what they want to do and what they're good at the time frame, they may not be sitting there at 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, but they're going to be up at midnight because that's when
yeah,
the
they might
inspiration
be like,
strikes
yeah,
them.
'cause they work on Saturday morning, or
Right.
they're up at
Exactly.
midnight or 3 AM, but they're not at their desk at 2.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
my daughter's like, I mean, she's a graphic artist, and
Mhm.
she does
Mhm.
logo work, and, sometimes I see her, she's in her office, and she's, like, in there at, like, 3 AM,
Yeah.
and during
Yeah.
the day, she might be taking a nap.
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
her boss was looking to see that she's there at, like, 4 PM,
Yeah.
and they would not get the fact that they got the logo, but she wasn't there working 9 to 5.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's so true. That's so true.
And that's where you get people who are just like, "Oh, it's 0, 1, it's black and white,"
Yeah. No.
right? Versus, like, the world is on a spectrum, as you said.
Well, I'm playing around with an idea, and it's not quite ready for prime time, but I'm really realizing that our superpower for everybody is being unmanageable. So I am unmanageable, and that's my superpower. And I chose to be an entrepreneur, and that's been great because, I'm not manageable sitting at a desk. But even people who are employees of companies, their superpower is doing the things that they love. And they may not be sitting at the desk at 3 o'clock on a Thursday because that's not what they're good at. And if you try and fit them and force them into that cage, you're not going to get the work. But if instead you empower them to do what they do when they do it, that's even better. So
Yeah,
anyway, that's we
yeah,
could go on for hours about that.
yeah, because that's kinda like, the one of the pandemic benefits was that people were able to kind of work from home, and
Exactly.
then a lot of people, like, maybe they moved and they're sitting in Barbados,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
And then suddenly they tell them, "You gotta come back to Wisconsin."
Yep. Good
And
luck
I'm
with
like,
that.
"Well, I was already doing the job," and I'm like, "If he like, I guess that's not gonna work for you because 'cause I'm not coming back."
Yes, exactly. Well, that's the other thing that happened too. So true.
But I think it's interesting, like, you wanna double your impact for, like, next year, and you're trying to figure out, like, a lot of people probably think of that as like, "Oh, that's a sequential algebraic
Mhm,
equation,"
mhm,
and
mhm.
from our discussion, it might not be.
Exactly, exactly. Well, like the movie director, right? They film it out of sequence, and then they can come back and put it together.
Yeah, so a lot of times the people just gotta figure out, like, where is your room for efficiency?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and really maybe it goes back to you being the bottleneck.
Yes,
Your
that's the
expansion
first step. Yep,
is
exactly.
not happening because you're saying everything, has to get approved,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
you won't delegate that approval, so you're
So
getting a
true.
choke point on what you can do because you
Yep.
gotta look at everything.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Well, I encourage people to, come to us, talk to us, have a conversation. We'd love to chat this through with you. And
Yeah, yeah, so
yeah,
we've got your QR code up there, let everybody scan it, they'll go right to your
please.
LinkedIn, so I wanna thank you
Great.
for being on the show today, and, yeah, we maybe we can chat in the future.
I look forward to it. That'd be wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.